Ladies, welcome back to the I've Decided challenge. Today is day 28 of the challenge, and what we're going to start with is our affirmations in the comments. So go ahead and drop down below. 27 days ago I decided that I'm a healthy person. 27 days ago I decided that I'm an expert at manifestation. 27 days ago I decided that I'm experiencing all of my desires right now. Customize your affirmations. Go ahead and put the affirmations that you are using for this 30-day challenge down in the comments below. And before I forget to mention, October 1st I will be doing our 2,500 subscriber live. It is going to be sometime in the morning Pacific time. I have not yet decided. Kind of just depends on what I see is the best schedule at that time. So I will try to schedule that and figure that out and we'll get going with that. I look forward to it. I'm going to cover a lot of really interesting topics, and we'll just have like a little party, a little celebration. I will also be doing live coaching, so if you attend the event live, you can ask your questions in the comments, and I will be doing one-to-one coaching in that way, where I'm answering your questions and giving you the exact response that you need to feel supported and help you understand where you are feeling stuck in your manifestation, so you can remove any roadblocks and get what you desire. So today's lesson is going to be kind of a mini rant. It is going to be a little bit harsh. I am going to be very passionate, so if you are not in the mood for that, go ahead and watch some other video, click off, come watch this later. But today's video is so important, and I felt like we are so close to the end of this challenge, I might as well do it today. That way, if you have not yet manifested, at the very least, movement, or what we consider birds before land, which is like the progress showing you that your manifestation is on its way, you really need to watch this video. So this video, obviously, if you click the title you saw, this is the one action you need to take that will guarantee your manifestations. And I know that sounds crazy and it sounds like clickbait. I actually promise you it is not clickbait. This is not going to be some trick or some technique or anything you haven't heard of before. But this is the number one thing that you need to do to actually start seeing progress in your manifestation, seeing the birds before land, seeing the movement, and feeling the change internally, in order to get that momentum going again if it's stopped, or to enhance the momentum you already have so that you can ultimately get it what it is you're desiring. You ready? It is to stop blocking yourself from the manifestation by telling the old story. Stop telling the old story. Stop it right now. You have to stop it. If you do nothing else, the one action you need to do is to stop ruminating in the old story. Stop focusing on the circumstances that you don't want more of. And I know that sounds so simple. And even I myself, as someone who teaches this, and really, I don't just teach it when I'm on these videos, I live it and breathe it all day long. I'm reminding myself to keep up with my mental diet, and I'm reminding myself to keep up with my spiritual practices and take the actions in alignment with the identity that I have. So even I need this reminder sometimes too. This is something anybody at any level can do to enhance and speed up their manifestation ability, to bring their desires in faster. So the basis of this is the concept of being double-minded, or double-mindedness. And what this means is you got one foot in the door that says, I have my manifestation, I am the person who has my manifestation, everything is wonderful, I'm enjoying my life, I'm enjoying being in the state of having it all. And then the other part of you, is like sucking you back into the past. It is sucking you back into doubt and fear and limitation. It is sucking you back into complaining and victimhood and making excuses, and it is keeping you stuck. I forget the exact quote that is from the Bible, but it's like a double-minded man is like basically it's not good in any aspect of life. And what that means is like being double-minded isn't good for you, and it's not good for any of your circumstances for you to be double-minded. when you are experiencing this indecision is often from double-mindedness, where if you're deciding between two choices, sometimes there is this mind inside of you, right? This piece of your consciousness that is holding you back from making any decision at all. And what this can look like also is like, let's say you want a certain career and you're going back and forth between, should I take classes for it? Should I go to school for it? Should I go out on my own? And having that pull on you where you just aren't letting yourself relax into the moment, and you're not letting yourself trust whatever feels right for you is the right answer. That's one form of double-mindedness, which is kind of just feeling cloudy, feeling like you're not super stern on exactly the path you want to take, and you're panicking because you're in between those options. What this can also look like, though, and this is the worst of the worst of the worst thing you can do for your manifestation and for your experience here, is to persist in ruminating about the old story, because you're constantly telling yourself it's the current story. And as long as you're telling yourself this is the current story, it can only ever stay the current story. So if you don't want to remain where you are, you have to invest fully and completely into the new story of you. You cannot take actions believing that you're a healthy person, and then the rest of the time, the rest of the day, you're telling yourself that you're unhealthy, that you're not where you want to be, that you're not going to make it, that it's hard, that you're not seeing progress, and expect to yield positive results from that. Ask me how I know. I spent so many years in my physical health journey, especially. This didn't really apply too much to my spiritual health journey, although I would say spiritual health is definitely intertwined with physical and mental health. But I noticed in both my physical and mental health journeys, I desperately wanted to experience a better quality of health. I wanted to feel like my body was supporting me properly. I wanted to feel like my body was young and healthy and vibrant and capable of all the things I wanted to do. And yet I was persisting in the old story of I'm not healthy and this is hard and I'm exhausted all the time and I don't have the energy and I don't feel good. And so you see, this is where so many of us go wrong, is we are so conscious and so focused and so invested in performing the techniques, doing the meditations, getting ourselves into that sleepy hypnotic state where our subconscious is impressible and putting in the goodness. But then once we stop those activities and we go about our normal life, the inner narrative goes right back to the circumstances that we don't want, to the doubts, the fears, the limitations that we are so accustomed to. And if any of you have ever read or learned from the book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, like that's the whole idea of self-concept and of manifestation, is you have to break the habit, break the pattern, break that unconscious cycle of being who you've always been. Because who you've always been can only get you where you've always gone, and it can only bring about into your circumstance or manifest, demonstrate for you what you've always experienced. So the one thing that you have to do, the one thing that you need to focus on and be disciplined with and truly take action for and towards is stopping. Stop yourself from the spiraling. Stop yourself from the guilt tripping of yourself. Stop gaslighting yourself. Stop shaming yourself. Stop judging and criticizing yourself. Stop being hard on yourself when you do fall off of your mental diet. And stop being so focused on the present circumstances. If you want more of what's present, be present. And if you want less of what's present, project your presence, your awareness, your consciousness into the future, into the preferred circumstance. What this can look like in day-to-day life is, let's say you are driving in traffic and you're running late and you feel stressed about that. Rather than being there present in your car, of course, pay attention to your surroundings, be safe when you do this, but think to yourself, speak to yourself as if everything's going to be okay. And that will take you away from those feelings of pressure and anxiety. It will take your brain away from thinking about the consequences of what might happen if you arrive to work late, and instead remind yourself, it's all right. I'm a human being. Sometimes I'm going to be late for things. Sometimes things don't work out exactly the way I expected to. However, that doesn't mean that there is a guaranteed negative consequence waiting for me. Instead, go, you know what, I'm really grateful that I got out of bed today. I'm really grateful that my body is supporting me today. I'm really grateful and lucky and fortunate that I have a job, and I'm grateful that it allows me to pay my bills, and I'm grateful that I'm driving in this car that I can afford, and I'm grateful that this car has allowed me this opportunity, and I'm grateful that I feel supported in life in this way. Like, that is a much better feeling. It's a much better thought process. It's a much better inner conversation to have. And not only that, when you're focused on that, the drive will go by much smoother and quicker, and I believe much safer than if you're stuck in anxiety. I mean, we've all been driving and there's someone just swerving through the lanes in rush hour trying to get to work, and it's like, sir, ma'am, that's a bit rude, and it's dangerous, and for all you know, I'm late too. I might be just as late or even more late than you. It's really not that big of a deal. Even if arriving on time is something that you feel is of the utmost importance. Let's say you have a specific presentation you need to do exactly when you get to work and you're running late. Well, if that's the case, then choose to give the moment the meaning that you now have a couple extra minutes to prepare. And maybe now that you have prepared a little bit more, you've rehearsed your presentation, you've built up your confidence in that way. When you walk in the door, even if you're a little bit late, that can be forgiven because you give such an amazing presentation that the whole room is so enthralled and was engaged, and you really gave it your all and showed up as your best self. Who knows what opportunities that could open for you? When it comes to, let's say you're being really triggered by a specific person, I know I've been there plenty of times myself. It is something that we all go through, especially as we level up in relationships and as we grow and develop ourselves spiritually, because a partnership between two people is the most spiritual thing that we can experience as human beings on this planet. It requires a level of self-discipline and self-control in a way where you're also making sure to take care of another, and finding the balance in there and finding what works for you really bridges the gap between who you are today and the potential that you can reach in terms of being your highest self, being the best version of you. It is both challenging and fulfilling, and it's meant to be. It serves a great purpose in our life. So I know that so many of you watching hold that really near and dear, and you feel really pressured to succeed in that, and that's perfectly fine. Allow yourself to have that strong desire and think of it in a positive way. Now, if you are getting triggered by the specific person, it's because you're stuck in the old story, and I actually did journal about that this morning. As I was thinking about it, because I actually just listened to The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard again, and had a few revelations from it, and I really love one of his quotes about double-mindedness, and I really loved the way that The Power of Awareness talked about the reason we get certain experiences from other people is because that's all coming from our self-concept, which is the basis of law of assumption, and it is scientifically backed. I mean, psychology and behavioral studies have backed this for many, many decades. I would even go as far as to say many centuries before psychology was considered an established study. This is something that is ingrained into the human experience. So it's not this like super woo-woo spiritual thing. It's actually very grounded in logic, and that I think is why I was able to connect with this lesson so well. And then the spiritual experiences I've had in watching this lesson play out have also really confirmed and affirmed that this is the truth, that there is no one to change but yourself, that if you really want to create a new circumstance, all you have to do is stop telling the old story. Stop telling the old story. Shh, zip it. Stop telling the old story. Stop focusing on it. Stop thinking about it. Stop having inner conversations about it. Stop arguing with yourself about it in your head, because I know if you're watching this and this is what you're struggling with, you have definitely had those types of arguments where you are shaming yourself, where you are holding on to anger and resentment, and it is only going to manifest more of that. It can only perpetuate more of that. So to wrap our video today, I will be reading the journal entry that I wrote, and hopefully my handwriting is legible enough, because I was really deep in thought when I was writing this, so bear with me. So this one is Old Man, New Man. The symbol of the old man is everything you are consciously choosing to let go of. By let go of, I mean to remove your focus from. It's not a denial of its existence. Rather, it is a conscious choosing to turn away from its existence in favor of something better. The new man is that something better. A common fallacy is that the new man must be a different man. And this means, like, if you're in a specific relationship, or if you're dealing with a job, it's the assumption that you have to actually have a brand new person, that you can't change that person. That's a fallacy. That is not the truth. Oftentimes we do see and hear stories of people manifesting a new specific person, and it comes out better because there's less resistance. There are fewer negative experiences to revise. And so if you don't have to work so hard to push away the negative story, the old man, the old story, then yes, you can find it, some cases, to be easier to be with a new specific person. But I know that this is not what all of you are desiring. It's certainly not something that I make a habit of doing. I don't believe people should be viewed as so easily replaceable. You know, I'm much more sentimental than that. So, and that's not a place of judgment either. If you want to choose a new person, that's entirely up to you. I guess I don't feel it is ethical to be treating others as disposable, or to be so quick to change our minds about people. You know, circumstantially, of course, there are times that you can walk away, and that's better, and we should all do what's best for us. But I'm not saying that it should be either way. We shouldn't be so quick to get rid of the old man in place or in favor of a new person. However, we should also know when the old SP or the old circumstance is just no longer fitting, and it's just no longer worth our time and effort. So that's where discernment comes in. But anyways, so going back, a common fallacy is that the new man must be a different man. While this too is an option available for your choosing as infinite consciousness, if you so choose to see the old man as a new version of himself, you can yield the same results, or even better, than manifesting a whole new person. To bring about the existence of a new man from the old, one must only shift their consciousness. So what is this consciousness we refer to? Your awareness, which includes your thoughts, feelings, emotions, both perceived to be real and imagined. And that's really key there. We get stuck in the old story. We get stuck talking about the old man, the old version of our person, or even of ourselves, because it feels real to us, because we have that history of memories, and those memories feel real because those experiences, when we felt them in the present moment, were real to us. But there's no difference between what is real and what is imagined in your body. Your body, your sensations, your feelings, your emotions cannot tell the difference between what is now, what is past, and what is future. And how do we know this? Anxiety. Anxiety teaches us that by imagining a fear, imagining a scenario that hasn't happened, that might never happen, gives us those same real life sensations in our body, those real emotions, those very real thoughts that we're experiencing in the moment. So knowing that our consciousness is perceived to be real, just as real as imagination is perceived to be real, really takes us back to our power. So by directing the current of consciousness, you funnel the energy of your awareness into a singular outcome. If you catch yourself straying from the desired end, collect yourself, slow the flow, and refocus the current on the most ideal outcome which you have selected from infinite possibilities. Holding the focus is key. It is the only necessity, and it must be persisted in indefinitely until a different result is desired. So what this means is, again, if you are being double-minded and going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, if you are feeling torn between multiple decisions, if you are feeling doubt and fear and limitation, that energy is scattered. It's everywhere. It's going into many different buckets of reality, and ultimately the bucket of reality that energy gets funneled into, whichever is the most full, whichever is receiving the most energy, is the one that will manifest in your reality. This is why we can see hot and cold behavior, especially in specific people. So holding that focus is key. Holding the focus on the new man, the new version of SP, the new version of, your life, your reality, as you know it to be, it has to be persisted in indefinitely. And this is the final key to this lesson here, is that indefinitely means you can't stop. If I stop thinking that I'm a young, healthy person, I will become an old and unhealthy version of myself. If I stop thinking that I am a kind and generous person, I will start becoming a more disgruntled and stingy person. And it doesn't sound like that's the case. You're like, but I always have been this way. How could I change overnight? How could I suddenly not be this way? And what it is it doesn't happen suddenly. It's that if you start to feel like a bad person, whether you objectively are a bad person to the world or not, if you start feeling towards yourself like you are a bad person, your brain, your subconscious, your behaviors have no choice but to conform to that. They have no choice but to prove that to you, to prove to you that you're a bad person. And so if you don't ever, if you stop persisting in the story that you're a good person, you stop manifesting that you're a good person. And what this also means is the old man versus the new man. If you stop thinking and feeling and experiencing and affirming and assuming and manifesting the new version of your life based on the new version of yourself, the old will always come back. The opposite will always become true. If you are not striving to grow and get better, you are shrinking and being pulled back into the old. That is just how our wiring works. Our brains will go to the familiar before they go to the new. And until the new becomes the familiar, we will constantly have to fight that. We will constantly have to affirm and assume the opposite is true. So if it's difficult for you to persist in any desire, you have to really ask yourself, do you really want this thing? Every day that you wake up is answering that question. Do you really want this feeling inside of you? Do you really want this self-concept? Do you really want this circumstance? Do you really want this interaction? Do you really want this job? Do you really want this car? Do you really want this house? Do you really want this level of health, this quality of life, this specific person, this friendship, this relationship with your parents? Do you really want it? And if the answer is yes, you cannot stop persisting. If the answer is yes, the answer has to remain yes every single day until the answer is no. And what this looks like sometimes is people will be happy in a career for 30 years and then one day it just doesn't feel right anymore. It doesn't feel worth it anymore, and their soul feels called to do the next step in life, and that's natural and normal. Sometimes this happens with the old man being the old specific person where you've just tried so much and you've given so much of yourself that it no longer feels towards you as if it's worth it. And only you can decide this. Going back to what I said earlier, I believe that we should really try our best to hold on to people and not give up on them for two reasons. Number one, treating people as disposable and easily replaceable, it's just not a really moral thing to do. We have to understand that just because it's easy for us to replace someone, or if we feel as though it's easy, doesn't mean that we should abuse that ability. It doesn't mean that we should go on touching the lives of other people, being careless and not having any caution in that, because we're all human beings. We are co-creating this experience, which means, yes, you are manifesting them, but that also automatically means they are manifesting that version of you as well. It goes both ways. To illustrate this, I can express that there are people who really love to cook food, so much so they open a restaurant because they love feeding people. And if you're anything like me, you're someone who really enjoys to eat food and explore different foods. I'm so appreciative that the person, the restaurant owner, decided to have that inspiration with them to create this opportunity, and they are appreciative of me because I, as a patron of their business, are allowing them to fulfill their dreams. So it's both of us together on this planet Earth co-creating that experience of one person is creating and serving the food and one person is exchanging goods or exchanging currency and enjoying the food. We need one another. And the other thing that I will touch on is manifesting a successful relationship is the most difficult thing you will do in your life. It is the most fulfilling thing that you will do in your life. And if you're someone who's really quick to give up in relationships, that goes to show you are lacking discipline, you are lacking compassion, you are lacking the ability to truly forgive, not even just to forgive them, because if you really know about forgiveness, you're forgiving yourself. And truly, unless it's become such a toxic, brutally abusive, life-threatening situation, every relationship is salvageable. And I even know people who have manifested their specific person back after a really nasty, abusive situation. And they manifested a version of that specific person that treats them like a queen, that treats them like they are the best thing ever. And it's as if that toxicity never happened. I am not going to advocate for that. You do you. I'm not going to tell you whether that is good or bad. It's up to you to do that. However, what I will say is being able to harness your power in relationships, being able to control yourself in a way, to discipline yourself in a way that you are getting the best out of your specific person requires the most growth of any manifestation. And of course, this is an assumption and opinion, but it's also based on experience. And it's based on the idea of one of our main spiritual purposes is to connect, is to be in partnership with other people. Even if that means being in a business partnership long term, our soul can only serve to grow and develop. Our consciousness can only serve to grow and develop when we partner up, when we truly invest in someone. And why would you rob yourself of that experience? Why would you quit on yourself so easily? Why would you give up on your own desire so easily when all you have to do is turn away from the old man, turn away from the old circumstances and stop telling the story and discipline yourself and commit yourself enough to continue telling the new story of them, the new story of you, the new story of you and them together, or you in that circumstance, happily ever after. I know that this lesson was long-winded and it may have been kind of harsh for some of you to hear, but I mean you no harm. I know some of these lessons can hurt and be triggering, but they ultimately in the end will help you. My intention is that this lesson served its purpose and helped you to release whatever is blocking you so that your manifestation comes with ease. And if you've been participating in this challenge, we've got 2 days left to go. And that in itself is incredible that we have been doing this together, affirming together, learning and growing together. So thank you for co-creating this experience with me. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, go ahead and tap the button and hit the bell icon to be notified. That way you get notified when I go live on October 1st for our 2,500 subscriber party. I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you so much. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.